And so we are back to discussing our healthcare sector, which appears to be currently facing many, many issues. Statistics would indicate and quite unacceptable healthcare indicators, despite several efforts at improving them.
Maternal mortality ratio stands at 814 per 100,000. That's depressing. While mortality rate for infants and children under 5 years is 70 and 104 per 1,000 live births, respectively.
You know, you said depressing, and indeed that really captures it, because we seem to be rolling back, significant progress made under the MDGs and even just before the successor SDGs. In terms of maternal, and infant mortality rate ratios, Nigeria had really, made significant improvements. But this latest statistics is quite depressing, Henry. And key players in Nigeria's health sector are also raising the alarm and demanding prompt action to address the gaps. Now, one of such group that is, championing the this movement is the Nigerian Medical Association, NMA. I mean, understandably so. They've raised concerns over what they call worsening doctor-to-patient ratio in the country, and we all know why.
This is even more shocking, because the ratio which NMA pegged at about 1,000 patients to one doctor is less than the World Health Organization's recommendation. Actually, it's 10,000 patients to one doctor.
10,000?
Yes.
So what really is the problem? And you may, just as Emre and I are wondering why the ratio has gone so depressingly high. And many, of course, the first thing to point accusing fingers will be what you call the Jackpot syndrome, which kind of drains our medical professional or draws our medical professional from out of the country. But that has been happening. It's just that it gathered momentum, a few years back. And we are also talking about medical tourism, which has continued to, happen despite, all efforts to address it.
Well, thinking about this gives concerns and reason to worry, because at the moment a lot of people are finding it difficult to feed well. Sanitation is poor. A lot of other issues that would, of course, result to ill health. And then in the health sector, you do not have doctors to attend to you. So, I mean, what does all this lead to? Of course, the life expectancy rate of the Nigerian would drop. Now, talking about the Jaguar syndrome, it's been on for a while, like you pointed out. And at the moment, health officials are seeking homegrown solutions to the problem now, and this is in line, of course, in addition with the exodus of pharmaceutical companies from the country.
It would be good to really seek homegrown solutions, to all the value chains in the medical, healthcare delivery, because the challenge or the gap is not just the widening ratio, between doctor-patient. The current high cost of medicine is also alarming, and it's a situation that the National Assembly and other groups have tried to address over time. A lot of people who use, medications are complaining they cannot, afford to, purchase their drugs. So homegrown solution is definitely a must, but we must also address other issues.
Yeah, other issues, of course, infrastructure gaps, ignorance on the part of patients, poorly trained personnel are also other challenges in the country's health sector.
All right. There are suggestions that, for instance, that healthcare can be made a national priority to enable Nigeria adequately reposition that sector. Well, it has always been a national priority. Maybe we should say there should be some more political will, on the part of our healthcare managers, and also, the private sector as well, because the private sector are also contributing their own quota. So maybe there should be, apart from political will, there should also be what we call collaboration between the private sector and the public sector, because the private sector do have a lot of resources, to manage healthcare, just that it could be quite expensive to access. But in all of this, the big issue is, where do we begin? What really are the major problems that we need to tackle to be able to bridge the gaps in healthcare delivery in Nigeria? And our guests, hopefully, will be joining us all the way from different parts of the country and outside the country to, share some experiences with us. And that will be very, very shortly. Let me welcome you once again, all of you. You're watching from different places. I cannot name all of you that have called or, accosted us to say, look, we watch Good Morning Nigeria every morning because we get some very, very vital information. So thank you for making this program your morning tonic. And today's edition is the last for the week. We are so excited. It's Friday. I am Claire Adilabu Abdurrazak. I don't know about Henry.
All right, you already mentioned my name, I'm Henry John. But talking about the health sector, you talked about it being a national priority. A lot of people would disagree with you because the budgetary allocation for the health sector still falls short of the Abuja Declaration, which is supposed to be around 15%. So all of these issues, we'll be looking at, this morning, and we hope that from this discussion we'll begin to see a change, because this is very important. And then the statistics for maternal and child mortality is something that really needs to be addressed. And this is something even primary healthcare centers, could help in reducing. All right, so you want to stay put and watch Good Morning Nigeria all through. We'll be here from now till 9. I'm Henry John, like Claire said.
Not like I said, that's her name. That's who she is.
All right, and of course, Chikudi Kolugbaja will join us in the course of the program for newspaper review. And I'm sure our newscaster is still Musa Abubakar. He's going to be taking the news highlights. Musa, has the name changed? Good morning to you.
Same old name. Good morning, Yeri. Good morning, Claire. The protracted disagreement over the prospective minimum wage has finally been put to rest, as federal government and the organized labor unions agreed on a new minimum wage of 70,000 naira. The parties reached this agreement at the meeting chaired by President Bola Tinubu at the State House.
And organized labor have agreed on an increase on the 62,000 naira minimum wage.
We are taking this with mixed feeling because of the situation of the economy, but we have to move ahead.
For the break in that transmission. But we return back to Musa Abubakar for the continuation of the highlights of the morning news. Musa, sorry for that interruption.
Thank you, Claire. Well, meanwhile, stakeholders on the platform of the Governing All Progressives Congress, APC, have described the planned nationwide protest by some faceless Nigerians as an attempt to undermine the nation's sovereignty and plunge the economy into disarray. Director General of the Confederation of APC Support Groups made the position of other support groups known during a media briefing.
It's painful memory. Therefore, we should not indulge ourselves in an untimely protest that has the potential and attraction of being hijacked by hoodlums, political jobbers, and losers.
Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu is calling for the enhancement of the economic value of bilateral relations between Nigeria and partner nations. A statement by the Presidential Advisor on Media and Publicity, Ajuri Ngilali, indicates that the President made the call when he received letters of credence from the new ambassadors of Portugal, George Adao Martins dos Santos, that of Vietnam, Biu Quoc Hong, and Kuwait, Salim Khalifa Mohammed Al Muzayen, the presidential villa. The president expressed his appreciation for Nigeria's long-standing relations with Portugal and shared interests in the areas of trade and culture, as well as partnership in oil and gas, which has translated into gains for both countries in his response. The ambassador of Portugal said investors from his country have keen interest in Nigeria and that the trade with Nigeria on gas predated the war between Russia and Ukraine and will be sustained. In his meeting with the ambassador of Vietnam, President Tinubu says the manufacturing sector in Nigeria is ready to benefit from the automating skills and technology of the Asian country. In another meeting, President Tinubu thanked the ambassador of Kuwait for his country's long-standing good relations with Nigeria and extended his appreciation to Emir and Crown Prince. The new envoys were received with guard of honor mounted by Presidential Guards Brigade. Lawmakers in the House of Representatives have passed a resolution to slash their salaries by 50% for 6 months to provide succor for Nigerians and avert a planned nationwide protest over economic hardship. Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu moved the motion at the plenary, appealing to the proponents to be patient with the Tinubu administration.
One another, and let us work hand in hand towards a brighter tomorrow.
From 2025, any candidate below the age of 18 will not be admitted into any tertiary institution in Nigeria. Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Mamman, stated this at the 2024 policy meeting organized by Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAM, in Abuja. Well, that's the news. Good Morning Nigeria continues with Claire and Ingeri after this break.